is it that you think what is it that you think what's out there? What's out there? What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? It's time to find out. It's time to find out. It's time to find out. We are the unexplained investigators. We are.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Apparitional Paranormal Radio. This is Jeff Porter, your host this evening. Courtney is not with us again. Still some emergency family issues going on there. So hopefully the next week or so we'll have Courtney back on. We do have some additional guests lined up going into the, I guess, the Halloween season, kind of our big time of the year as we move into the storytelling and things like that. So we'll get those notes out there. Next week's show, we have some things lined. We already have it lined up, so we'll get that information out this evening. Tonight's show is really, I guess it can be controversial in a way. Some folks do not believe in cleansing or removing a ghost or apparition. Other folks don't believe in it at all. But this is a tradition, whether it be for the paranormal or through theology. That goes on to this very day. It's been an ongoing practice, been around for a long time. Sometimes it's just as a family's moving into a new home, or a new home has been built, or as they're beginning to break ground for a home, they'll bless the property. Once the house is complete, then they'll bless the home itself. So these are things that can begin really from the concept to the idea of what you're going to do, and follow through to the time you leave the property or sell it, or however you separate from the ownership. It goes many different ways. As as a paranormal group, we do not necessarily offer this service as a group. As an individual, I will do it as TUI. I would offer the availability, but there's a lot that goes into it, and hopefully we'll kind of get into some of that tonight. So anybody that's listening has any questions or wants to add to or share a story of a blessing a house or something that's occurred, I encourage you to call in. Our number is 347-637-1432, or you can email me, which tends to be the most common here with the show. However, I'd encourage you, if you can, to join our chat room. We'll have that up going in hopefully just a few seconds here. But if you're coming in the chat, please give us understand. We do have some things that we're going through on the layout. I have some things I'm going through on the layout, so it may be a few minutes before I get over to your and able to respond to your comments or questions. So cleansing. We're going to kind of talk about some of the basics. I guess some of the stuff I'm more familiar with, some of the stuff maybe I'm less familiar with. Just kind of want to toss it out there. There's many different ways to accomplish a blessing of a house or a cleansing, and to say that one way is better than the other isn't correct. Each person, each individual has the way that they believe it should be done, and they have the way that they'll conduct it. So I suggest that each person, if you feel that you're in a scenario where you want your house cleansed, that you find that one individual that you're comfortable with to actually go out or to actually come in and do this cleansing for you. It can be a tedious process. It can be a quick process. It really depends on what you as the property owner are looking for. It depends on really the activity that you have and how versed the person is that's carrying out the task in the task that they're doing. And there should always be and I'm hesitant on what I say because I don't want to tell you something, you take it as it the way it has to be, and then you go find someone to cleanse your house, and you're saying, "Well, I heard that it's this, and it should be done this way." I just want to make sure that everyone understands out there that there's many different ways to do it. Uh, for the most part, they're always successful. Not always, but for the most part, they are. And some of the reasons that they're not successful is the person that's conducting them may make some mistakes. The person that's requested it may not truly want a cleansing of the home. Believe it or not, folks, there's individuals out there that we've done investigations for in their house who have called complaining of all these activities that are bothering them, that are upsetting them. But then when it comes down to the nitty gritty, do you want us to come in and bless the house or find somebody to help you cleanse? They don't want to take part in that. They don't want that to happen. They want want the spirit to be left there and left alone. So, surprisingly enough, there are individuals out there who aren't going to do this process, and they want to keep that there with them. So, if you're a paranormal group or involved in investigations, or you've thought about doing cleansings of houses, blessings, things like that, keep that in mind. You may go somewhere and the person say right up front, "I'm having this activity. Once we know what it is, I want my house. I want it out. I want to be able to live and be happy." And then you get to the end of the investigation, and they say, "Never mind. I want it to stay here. I don't want it out." There's a certain amount right now in today's society. There's a certain amount of celebrity that, even though they don't have a TV show, they're on radio, they're not doing anything in particular. There's a certain amount of celebrity that they get from having the haunted house. I'd say it's more prevalent today than it is previously. However, we all know those individuals that we lived around or grew up with that always had the story to tell of the creepy house or the creepy basement, the closet, the opening and closing doors and windows. Always seemed to happen at their house. And they tend to, when they would have those conversations, they tend to have a little bit more attention, and maybe they learn to thrive on that. So if you're a group thinking about going out there and getting involved and doing cleanses and blessings, just remember that the individuals may, at the end of whatever you do, the individuals may want that entity to stay there. Well, not to tie up too much time into the casual conversation, I'll get into the blessings itself. Looking at how to remove, or the process of removing an entity, a spirit, a ghost, the subject is pretty debatable. And in the paranormal community, it really just kind of, you can really go from one spectrum to the other. It depends on what the group or the individuals follow. There really isn't a single encompassing process or an answer to the removal. In each instance, it'll have its own particulars. It'll have its own little unique piece, twist to what we need to do as far as removing removing the spirit or entity from the property. An example: if someone's experienced an apparition, or if someone's experienced just a shadow, or they've just had occurrences, they haven't had anything too big happen. Each one of those is going to be approached differently, and having the individual group or individual himself or herself that understands each one of these and takes the time to do some analysis or investigation. And the reason I encourage that is, I really don't know what I'm dealing with. If I go into a property and I'm just going to cleanse or bless, I probably, in the removal process, I may not know what I'm dealing with. So it would be easier to kind of get an understanding of what I'm dealing with before I approach the actual cleansing and removal process. So just keep that in mind. If you're a property owner and you're looking at a group coming in doing an investigation, they may encourage you to do doing a cleansing or removal. They may actually encourage you to do the investigation. That way they have a better concept of what they're dealing with. They have some knowledge of what it is. If it's something demonic, we all want to know that. If what I'm going to deal with is demonic, more than likely, I'm going to refer you to someone with a little bit more expertise and someone with a little bit more time to spend dedicated to your particular scenario, because it could removing a demonic entity is not an easy, simple process. It's not a 10-minute step. It's not a 1-minute step. It's not, it could be months, quite literally. So when we're looking at that, you really want to keep your mind open to the availability of time. And as we go into the show, I do want to announce, and I'll add this at the end, that we're going to be changing the show times and dates a little bit around, rearranging to accommodate a little bit better with scheduling and things like that. So as we go through the show, just keep that in mind as you listen, and that'll be posted tonight with the new show arrangement. So some horror stories. There can be some tragic events occur over the decades. Probably one of the more famous movie style ones that is out there that there's really no truth to that I know of. However, there is a lot of stories that float, and I'm not going to circulate them. If you want to look them up, you can look them up individually. But there is a lot of stories, especially out of the old world, old country stuff, that where priests were killed in the process of demonic removal, whether that be from a property, possession of a property, or possession of a person. And I bring up the movie The Exorcist because in the original Exorcist, the priest eventually dies, accepts the demons, and dies at the end of the movie. That is, I don't want to say that dramatic of a scenario, but there is that possibility that could happen, that you could get into a scenario where you get possessed, or it becomes so overwhelming that you just you lose control of the scenario and folks get hurt. So, please bear that in mind, that again, if you're into the cleansing and removal practices, that there's a lot involved, and I really gauge my shows towards towards those newer groups who are thinking this is my way of becoming famous. This is my way of becoming the local entrepreneur of hauntings and the guy to go to. If you're the man that always has the answers, or the person that always has the answers, the team that always has the answers, chances are you don't have the right answers. It should, they should contact you, communicate, and then you take their questions and you develop the answers. You might be able to give them a slight synopsis or an idea of what they may be dealing with and how to react to it, but it's not going to always be 100% that you're going to be able to give them the complete answer to what activity they have going on. I do want to add, and I kind of put into this as there is a long and diverse and yet a rich history to and behind the spiritual cleansing. The rituals involved and the methodologies involved is pretty unique, and I guess I've hopefully emphasized that enough. And it stretches a broad spectrum, and it's really what is right for the client. You really got to, you have to put them first. If you approach them and they're pagan, and you're Southern Baptist or you're Catholic or something, you've got to remember that you're not going to be able to force your beliefs upon that person. Take what they believe and present your cleansing removal method in that manner and as close to possible. And if they're accepting of the practice you're going to complete, then by all means move forward with it. If they want a pagan, someone that's in that area, or if you're dealing with somebody that's Catholic and you're something else, find a Catholic. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not about you and you being the exorcist. It's about you providing a service for that homeowner or property owner that's going to help them at the end of the day. So, be careful not to get into that ego thing. I see that a lot out there in whole team competition. Don't get into the ego thing. You're either in it to find answers or to help someone, or you're in it for personal gain. And yeah, even with TUI, especially right now, some of the struggles that I'm having maintaining the team and maintaining equipment things, you want to be competitive in that I want to be able to have resources. I want to be able to find a way to resource, make some profit off of whether it be selling a DVD or a photograph or shirts or something. I do want to have that marketing side so I can continue to support our endeavor. But on that same token, we're not looking at it that we're going to sit around and make a living on it, get wealthy on it, or anything like that. We're still looking at assisting people and assisting the property owners. And the best way that we can do that is through having new equipment, maintaining our equipment, and maintaining the availability of the travel. We're not looking at it from the perspective of, hey, we're going to be the next folks on TV. Those opportunities do come through. They do talk to us about them. There's a couple that I have entertained. But at the end of the day, it really comes when I'm really doing an investigation, and I don't care who it'd be for, that we would be doing that for the property owner, whether it be whoever's videoing it is going to produce it later for a TV show or not. And I think really the Ghost Hunters is probably one of the better ones that really put that out there and whether they're going to continue to make it on TV or not, I don't know. But at the end of the day, there's been a lot of, they've had a lot of shows, they've done a lot of investigations, but for the most part, they've always maintained this is about the client. Client typically was willing to share the investigation with the rest of the world. And, I do thank everyone for that. Anybody that's willing to anybody come in, investigate, and then share those findings and share the investigation, all I can do is offer you big thanks, because that's helping others who are in your same scenario who may be afraid to step forward, makes them more willing to come forward and talk to a group. And if they, if it's a scenario where they really need somebody in there to cleanse the house, we'll be able to get someone in. We'll be able to get in there, make identification of what needs to happen, and then get in and cleanse and do a removal of the property, of the spirits in the property. You really should treat the ghost by treating the client. I really do that without saying it, even in the training perspective of my team. I really do that without really thinking about it most of the time. And that gives us the availability to understand, one, where the client is coming from, what they're really looking for, but two, to become gain the confidence and become more effective to what the client's seeking. And again, you may have to look at the personal beliefs. You will need to look at the personal beliefs of the property owner as opposed to yours. Sometimes they line up 100% and it makes life a lot easier. Most of the time they don't. There's slight nuances that you've got to kind of work around. For the specific religious needs, it may be in the best interest of you to find someone else or find a partner and have them to get involved. A lot of times I don't have a listing anymore like I used to have, but I used to have a list in the clergy who were willing to do a cleansing. I had a list of individuals from the different backgrounds that was willing to come in and do cleansings and removals and assist with that. Over the years, that's kind of, those folks have dropped away and moved away, and it's not as I guess current as I would like it to be. I guess that's what I'm looking for. But on the same token, and I've seen in the last 4 years, 5 years, a less request for actual cleansings and removals than I have ever in the past. Uh, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know where it goes. I know there's some that I strongly encourage that they do it, and then there's others that maybe the entity, the spirit's not being mischievous. It's just being there, and they're comfortable with it. And as long as the client's comfortable with it, uh, they've got my number. We can always do something different. But I will always encourage the cleansing and removal, especially when it's a home. If it's a business, maybe it's a little different story, unless it's something that's pretty violent, and we do believe it's demonic. There are many places that not only you but your client can learn about cleansings and the different things that and removals that could be involved. Obviously, the public library would be one. You could go look at sources there. Speaking with local clergy would be another. Seeking some knowledge through their particular or your particular belief system, whatever it be, a book, a Bible, whatever it happens to be. Use all those tools. Make sure that you're able to come up with an actual plan that works within their practice. You know, I've seen these things go, most of the time fairly well, but I've seen and heard of the things that go not so well. Burning sage or smudging kind of is a standardized practice. This does at some point involve an open flame. And for those watching on YouTube, I'm sure seeing me rub my eyes is probably not the best indicator, but and smile on my face. It's not funny, but it is somewhat comical. There has been paranormal groups burn down houses, not only during blessing processes, but during investigations as well. But in blessing or cleansing processes, where they go in and they have the open flame for the purposes of getting the sage going or whatever it is they're dealing with, or whatever it is they're working with, and somebody throws a match down or they're careless in some other manner, and a fire begins. So I would always suggest beginning that process outside, where there's less likely of having a fire, and being aware of your surroundings. If you're in a dry, grassy area, or dry area with a lot of leaves, and you're going to discard this match, make sure that you dispose of it properly, because you could set a fire outside as well as you could inside. That's just some of the, I guess, the housekeeping side of it. So as the paranormal groups, as they get, as they made the decision on cleansing the house, they made a decision on how they're going to go about it. Introduce that plan, as I've said, to the homeowner, and actually walk through it, not at the house, but walk through it verbally, whether it be on the phone or whether it be in person, away from the property, where the homeowner can actually be involved and know the steps you're going through, and it's not something new to them. What I'm going to do, folks, is I'm going to take a quick break here, 30 seconds, maybe minutes so, and I will be right back with you guys. I've got a few messages here that just came through on the email. That one looks pretty urgent. I just want to take a second to reply to that, and then kind of get the gist of it, and maybe able to share some of that with you here in a few minutes. All right, folks, I am back. Apologize for that brief delay in our time there. Also experiencing some technical difficulties here at the office as well. Not sure what's going on with our blog talk, but again, as those that for you those that listen in all the time, we do from time to time have technical difficulties with our blog talk. So bear with us. Hopefully, we'll be able to get through the remainder of the show without any major complications. We did have an email come in from the out of state. I guess it matters. I'll tell what state it is, but out from the Arizona way. The question basically is, how do you know what spirit is? Well, there's no simple answer to that. Typically, you're going to know demonic right off the bat through some of the occurrences that have been happening, and then the way it interacts when you get there. Others, whether it be an intelligent haunt or a residual haunt, things like that, kind of bear themselves out as you do an investigation or you do a home interview. Bear in mind, just like I have shared with that person, with this other individual, bear in mind that we're not going to know. You probably aren't going to know in the very beginning. Not going to be able to tell you over the telephone. Probably not going to be able to tell you individually through Skype or something like that. We're going to have to, come to the property, do the interview, do a walk around, do a couple things to get an actual feel for it. Can we come? The question was, can we come prepared to do the cleansing removal at the time? We can come as best prepared as possible. I apologize. In that we can bring the majority of the tools that we think we're going to need for the majority of the activity we may think we're going to experience, what's normal, but we may get in there and it be something slightly different than we realize, and we may have to back out and come in with a different idea. But typically, yes, a cleansing removal can occur the same time that it's being researched. Something to bear in mind, one of my big pet peeves, one of the things that I think helps the best is a clean mind, a clean house, and a clean soul. So we start with personal inner housekeeping of yourself and work your way to the house. Because we want you in a proper state of mind. We want you in proper physical condition. So when we do this actual cleansing, it does help it take, and you can be forceful to get these spirits out. So just, bear that in mind. Every homeowner I talk to, and we talk about cleansings, one of the first things I do is say, take inventory of your house and decide, if you plan on doing a yard sale or spring cleaning, something like that. Some people are doing early fall cleaning now, getting prepared for going into the holidays. You're going to do fantastic time to do a blessing, whether you think, or a cleansing, whether you think you need it or not. That is a fantastic time because you're cleaning everything out. You're getting rid of the old stuff. New stuff's coming in. You're getting prepared for the new year. And that's actually a very good time to do it because these are things work-wise you're already planning on doing. It's not like you're going to have to try to invent time to do a spring cleaning or a fall cleaning when the paranormal investigator shows up to do the cleansing process. Typically, and I'm going to walk through a process of cleansing. Typically, you would like it to be just the person that is actually doing the actual cleansing and one other person. And the people involved should really be prepared and have all their ducks in a row. They should, some of the things I have here at the cabinetry, some things I have in my box that usually go with me is holy water, protection salt, basics. That's the two basics. But also having a personal prayer protection prayer that I use, and then my own knowledge and belief in what I believe. We kind of talked about this. Upon entering the residence, fire safe areas should be created for the burning of candles and incense. So I did kind of apologize. I did kind of miss some of the things that you can, some of the things that you could bring in to cleanse. We talked about sage, holy water, white tea candles, incense or smudging stick, kosher salt. Um, these represent the four elements: earth, air, fire, and water. And the fifth is the human element. And I don't even. That has been one of the human element is one thing I've used in my career as well as in the paranormal world, because we can be the biggest instigator of trouble. We are also the best piece of equipment we have on paranormal investigations, and we can also be one of the biggest distractors to a cleansing removal. So, make sure that as you go in, that you follow that first step, that you prepare yourself. You have your protection prayer, whether it be, you take a shower, have your holy water, your protection salt, cleansing salt, whatever you want to call it. You have all those things together. And, go ahead and make sure when you get there, you have an area that's created for fire safe areas created for burning. You should, as best possible, I know it's difficult, as best possible, you should eliminate any outside interference within the home, whether it be a TV, radios, fans, things like that. A good way to do that is to, on your initial walkthrough, is identify the breaker box and determine what can be turned off and what cannot. Most cases, everything works off of a single breaker unit, like for light switches, overhead lights, things like that. So you could go in and maybe knock off 2 or 3 per area of the house and have knocked off all the non-essentials, just leaving maybe the heat and air unit or the refrigerator going, things that are critical, whether it be summertime or winter for the heat and air. And then, of course, you never want your refrigerator off. You don't want to ruin any food or anything. So that would be one way. If the property owner doesn't want you messing with the breaker box, you don't feel comfortable with that, just do the physical walk of the house and make sure that you have turned off all these items. That will keep you from being distracted and will keep anyone helping you from being distracted. Every entrance and exit, which I tend to call thresholds, must be blessed, including windows. You really have got to start with, you got to look at any entranceway into that house as a threshold. I even do pet doors. I even do crawl space doors, crawl space vents. I don't always get that particular, but I have done it. So just bear in mind that every small opening at some point you may want, and if certain openings may be encompassed. So you may not have to worry about every small opening, but it may be encompassed in something else. But just bear in mind, you may have to go into those true details. Now, I'm not going to get into specifics on cleansing and removal, like what you should do or say, but I will tell you that you need to visit every room, every threshold, door, window, vent, whatever it may be, needs to be addressed. And make sure that in each one of those rooms, the standard prayer that you're going to use throughout the cleansing process, removal, you use in every room. Some people do it different ways. I prefer to have a door open, whether it be the back door, the front door. And I prefer to begin where I can either complete a circle or complete kind of a non-interrupted path. This way I can push the energy basically out of the house, whether it be through open windows or an open door. But usually when I started, I like to have every window open. I like to have every door open. And then when I start, I'll start in a room and I'll work my way out. And once I'm done with that, as I'm going through that room, once I'm prepared to seal the room, I'll make sure the windows are closed. We seal the room, the door's shut. I'm done with that one. Now we move to the next one. And, a hallway with the bedrooms. I do each bedroom individually, starting from the furthest bedroom, moving to the nearest bedroom, work my way down the hallway. Once we're through the hall, there will be a blessing. There'll be a prayer in the hallway. Once we're to the end of that hallway, then I'll seal that threshold as well with anoint. I usually use anointing oil, something like that. But you can also be using the sage and things, smudge stick as you're going through. And then I do that for every room, for the closets, any special bins or things they have. If they happen to have I can't think of the word. Sorry. I'm having a lack of furniture terminology right now. A wardrobe. If they happen to have one of those, I'll even open that up and do a blessing there and seal that, that threshold. Then we'll go basically repeat that same program throughout the entire house, through every section. And then once I'm to the last door and I'm out, then I'll seal the threshold. Sometimes, depending on the property owner, it's been a request, and I use it when people request it. I do explain it and kind of offer it. This is where the kosher salt comes in, protection salt style. I will go to, around the perimeter of the house and mix this with the soil around the house. Now, it's a very temporary barrier because things are going to, ants, other insects, animals are going to consume this product along with the environment itself, rain, the ground. Another thing to bear in mind is the quantity that you disperse. If they have flower beds or something like that around the house, you put too much salt on it, you're going to kill it. So you don't come with a 5-pound sack of salt and go walk around this house and putting this 2-inch layer of salt around the base of the house where they're growing their flowers or the vegetable garden or something like that, because chances are you're going to kill it and it may not grow back for years. And then they're going to panic that, hey, what did you do to my house? Did you put a demon in my house or something stupid? You're going to hear something crazy. And the reality was you just didn't think it through. So, be careful with that piece. But then once it's done, once that piece is done, then I feel comfortable. And hopefully the homeowner does. And the biggest piece is making sure that homeowner is comfortable with you. I've said this several times in the show here. They're comfortable with you before you go in. They're comfortable that you've accomplished your goal when you're ready to leave, and they're comfortable with their house now. And at the end of the day, that's what needs to happen. That's what you're there for. The verbiage is really up to you and the property owner. I would bring in the common verbiage used during the prayers and conversation. I would let the property owner add their piece to it. And at the end of the day, that's it. It's not a very complicated program unless you run into a scenario. I do forewarn my team members going in that if I tell you to get out, leave immediately. If I run into something that I'm going to have to deal with in a biblical way, then I'm going to deal with that. But I do not need spectators, and I do not need potential hazards while I'm conducting that. So I'll have them to leave, take the property owner and exit the premises while I do my thing. This has happened recently. 2 months ago, we did have it happen where I ran into a scenario where we got into something that was a little mischievous. Not demonic, but a little mischievous, and I had to immediately go into stand my ground mode, get my folks out, let me set the barrier, and exit the premises. So those things can happen. It can happen that quick. Not being prepared for it, panicking is not an option. As I've said, team members before that are on investigation, this has happened. We don't run. We stand our ground. Depends on your theological beliefs or your personal beliefs. I have no qualms with standing my ground against most of these entities. There's going to be the times that I will tell you that I will not. I will back away as best I can, using protection prayers and things that I need to do to extract myself from the scenario. So don't listen to the show and think that you can study a little bit, do a little research, get some verbiage, and run out and cleanse and do removals in houses, because you could get yourself in trouble that you can't get out of. So with that said, going to be a quick show tonight. Again, we don't have Courtney with us, so we don't have a whole lot of dialogue going on. I have seen several emails come through on the page here for some advice and things. So I'm going to spend the last 20 minutes so here, actually less than that, 18 minutes or so, getting back with our listeners, and viewers on YouTube, and getting back to some of your questions. If you think of something later, feel free to contact us. Contact us at www.tui-team.com, or on Facebook at The Unexplained Investigators, or you can just contact us via email at tuinc1997@yahoo.com. All right, until next Tuesday, everybody have a good evening. This is Jeff signing off from Hickory.